What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Enter the Chat Gaming Podcast, the gaming podcast where we get together every week and talk about all things video games. My name is Kneeckoh. I'm joined today by my co-host Rico, who's drinking what appears to be cranberry juice.
Cran grape diet. Kind of tastes like Kool-Aid.
What's happening, Rico? I feel like we haven't done this in forever, but like last week we just reviewed Deathloop.
Yeah, and it feels like that every time we happen to do a podcast.
I know, it's
because like during the week we're both sort of like, it's like during the week we're both busy with our own shit, so we don't like talk a whole lot aside from the occasional message. So when we get back to this, it's like, hey, been a while.
Yeah, it's weird. But what have you been playing? Like, what's been going on this week? What's been the game of choice for you?
So this past week, game of choice was a game that came out like actually just last week. Kena Bridge of Spirits, an indie game that I was very much looking forward to coming out for quite a while. And I gotta say, so far, nice, charming little game so far. I pretty like it. The rots are adorable. Kena, or I guess her name is pronounced Kana, is how pronunciation is.
Mm-hmm.
As a character, she's kind of like meh. I'm not too far into it, so I haven't seen too much of her character come out. But so far, she's just like okay. Gameplay is pretty decent.
I've heard
get a video up
I've
on that
heard
eventually,
people refer to it as the best PS2 game of 2021.
I was say I haven't seen too much of that. I've seen a lot of people really enjoy and like it and say like it's definitely a good game. It's not like groundbreaking amazing, but it is a good game.
Yeah.
Very good looking, I can say.
So anything else aside from Kena?
Pretty much mainly Kena, you know, still hopping into Deathloop on occasion, and then would hop in and do like a couple games of COD Modern Warfare because I still am roped into that game. And I'm still on the fence on whether or not I'll get Vanguard or not. I don't quite know yet.
I'm definitely getting Vanguard just because of, I don't know. I get Call of Duty every year. I like the campaign. I like multiplayer. I will say I've got some fun bits about the stuff I've got to play this week because I've got a good conversation talking about Call of Duty in regards to that. But for me, what the hell have I been playing? Deathloop, Platinum it, finished it off. Beautiful game, masterpiece, freaking awesome. I will say the Juliana stuff, that was a bitch for me. That was a pain in my ass to get those trophies done. That was real tough. That was easily the hardest trophy for me to get done. Because, like, the objective is to cross Colt off your list, and you got to kill him 3 times to do it, and you only have 1 life, and it's really tough. So to actually win a round and take Colt out when you're not leveled up as Juliana and don't have any guns, that's tough when all you're doing it for is the trophy. So that was something that took me a little bit of time there, but got the Platinum, love it. It's sitting on the shelf. We're all done with that one. And then I was going to start getting back into Ghost of Tsushima, but I did something silly instead. My backlog is extending, and I decided I'd go back on PlayStation to play something I'd already played.
Which was?
I reinstalled Infamous Second Son. Because we had talked about it so much with, you know, the
right.
Sony stuff going on and the possible remasters that I was like, man, I'm really missing Infamous. And I'm like 1 trophy away from the Platinum. I just have to beat the game on like the hardest difficulty. So I was like, maybe I'll just replay through Infamous Second Son. And oh, it does run so good on the PlayStation 5. I've been loving it.
I'll give you a pass since it's Infamous.
It's been nice because I booted up. The nice thing about it, I'm gonna give Sony some props here. I thought I was gonna have to replay the game twice because you need to beat the game once to unlock the hardest difficulty. However, it backed up my cloud save on PS4, so I was able to download my 100% save file from my PS4 over to my PS5. So I was able to just make a new save and immediately start an expert. So that was pretty nice. That was pretty nice right there. Yeah, and I gotta say, it's very nice to be back in. I would really like an Infamous remaster. Oh man, it's been good.
Give us our boy Cole McGrath.
Yes. And then I was playing some Pokemon Unite until they broke the game. The mobile version dropped. Yeah, the mobile version dropped, and it runs really good. I played it on my iPad, and wow, am I impressed with how the game plays on that. But good God, they broke the game. They made 2 characters completely broken, and they didn't disable them. That's the thing. It's not like they flipped the switch and you just weren't able to play the characters. They were still playable for like a week with all these bugs, and like Lucario was like one-shotting people. Like just one tap and Lucario's just knocking people. And this was allowed in ranked. They didn't even disable ranked. So I haven't touched Pokemon Unite since the launch of the mobile. I played the mobile launch and then I haven't touched it. So I'm looking to get back into it. I saw last night they patched it, so that should be fixed. Crustle was also broken. So yeah, it was a weird little thing that happened there. But the big game that I've been playing a ton of, outside of, my normal Apex Legends and all that stuff, which the new split started, so I got to get on and play some ranked. But Dead by Daylight. All right, but like I was saying, we cut the video out of this. We're having some internet issues, so the video's gone on the video format of the podcast. Audio listeners will be unaffected. But like I was saying, Dead by Daylight is just such a good game to like hop in because it's so easy to just turn your brain off and play. And I've been freaking hooked on it. I've been playing it so much. I've been streaming it a ton. I've been uploading TikToks, YouTube shorts. On my main channel, I've been doing full-length gameplay videos, so check that out at Kneeckoh Gaming if you want to see any of that stuff. Little plug there. But I've been playing it so much. I bought a bunch of the killers because I've been playing Killer. I never played Killer before, and I really wanted to get into that. So I've been playing Killer a ton. And it's been addicting. It's been real addicting. I can't stop playing. But the big thing, and this goes back to the Call of Duty thing we were talking about. I got an email. I think it was Saturday morning or Friday morning, one of the two. And
right,
I got it from Xbox, and I got into the Halo beta. Oh yeah. So I installed that bad boy on there, and it's pretty fun. I played a couple rounds of it, just the arena, like team deathmatch game mode, and it plays smooth. The gun plays fun. It's just it looks really pretty. I mean, it's pretty solid. I'm really looking forward to Halo now. Even more, like I was already looking forward to it, but I didn't really have a huge amount of hype for it. But now that I've played it, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'll be very curious to see how Call of Duty does against Halo with how good this Halo is shaping up to be. I'm really, really looking forward to it now. I try not to play too much because I kind of want to go into it fresh and like still have a lot of hype for it, and I didn't want to spoil a bunch. So So I just played a couple rounds, but I really, really liked it. So I'm curious if Call of Duty is going to have an easy time considering Battlefield and Halo are right on top of it.
Yeah, it's definitely holiday season this year is definitely the holidays of the shooters.
Yes, it is. Indeed.
Yeah, the big three having all big releases.
It's crazy that way. But there's been a lot of shit going on in terms of video games. A lot of stuff. So I think before we get into our main topic, which we want to talk about what we think Game of the Year is this week, because we talked about Deathloop possibly being Game of the Year last week. Let's talk about the Nintendo Direct very briefly, because that was an acid trip of a Nintendo Direct. It was freaking odd.
That was such a weird Direct.
So I got the list. I got a list here on IGN.
All right.
The first thing that they have listed is the new Kirby game, Kirby in the Forgotten Land. This looks pretty neat. I'm kind of hyped. I saw it got leaked before the Direct. I think it was a Japanese Twitter page leaked it early, and I didn't think much of it at the time, and then they showed it, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of neat." But it looks like a 3D Mario Odyssey Kirby game, and I'm kind of with it. I'm kind of excited for this one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I don't think any Kirby game has really ventured into the whole 3D world aspect. So now Kirby's joining that front, alongside of Zelda and then Mario. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
It looks really pretty. It looks really cool. I've seen already a ton of people online. I don't understand why people do this. Like, there are a bunch of awesome 3D platformers. The one I saw compared to the most right now was Psychonauts, and it was like included in Game Pass versus $60. Who cares? Let people play the games they want to play. Like, I don't understand why we gotta compare. Like, Psychonauts is awesome. Kirby will likely be awesome. Like, why can't both games just be awesome?
This immediately reminds me of the fucking flack that both Pokemon Sword and Shield and then Breath of the Wild got, for how they looked for a $60 games.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
It's like how their art style is. That's like the usual Nintendo art style, and it looks nice. It's a much more improved one over like the DS era.
Yeah.
And Wii era.
But then they kind of threw a curveball with the Switch Online expansion thing that includes this N64 stuff and the Genesis stuff. And I know the N64 is what a lot of people have been asking for a while. We're getting like Super Mario 64, Zelda Ocarina, Mario Kart 64. We're getting a lot of real big ones. The issue I have with it, and normally I'm yelling at Sony, I'm gonna yell at fucking Nintendo this week, okay? I'm fucking over this bullshit. This is stupid, okay? I like Nintendo. I love their consoles. They're great. Their game libraries, fantastic, okay? Your business models suck dick. Your online service sucks so fucking bad, and you're gonna charge me extra to play fucking Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and it's not even up-resed. The thing is, you've already remastered this fucking game, and it's not even the updated version of this game. I have the upgraded version behind me. I can play it on my fucking 3DS anytime I want. You're going to give me an older version of this game that runs worse than the one you put out on the 3DS, and you're going to charge me extra for it? Fuck you, Nintendo. What are you doing?
The Genesis stuff is at least nice, though.
I mean, sure, the Genesis stuff is cool, but like, come on, man. Why is this extra? Your online service sucks so bad as it is. I can't use party chat. There's no achievement system. Online is spotty at best. It's an awful fucking service, and you're gonna charge me extra money to play fucking Mario 64, and I already have Mario 64 on a fucking console, for Christ's sake.
Oh god! Just when I thought I was like, oh, it'll just be game of the year. He won't be too bad. No, he got bad.
God,
so, yeah,
man.
I still don't get it. Like Nintendo has like how much fucking money, and they can't invest in like proper online experiences.
Yeah, I just don't get it, man. I don't know. Moving on though, because there's other cool shit in this direct. Bayonetta 3. Right. They showed off Bayonetta 3 finally. They announced it in 2017. It's finally coming out next year, and it looks pretty good. Look pretty damn good. I mean, it looks like a fucking Nintendo game, It's some blurry textures. Granted, this was during a live stream, so obviously that's going to affect how the gameplay looks during what I watched. I didn't go back and watch the trailer later. But, it looks like a Nintendo game, not as visually impressive as a lot of other stuff. But it's Bayonetta. A lot of people are fucking excited for it. And that's the thing with Nintendo. They don't have to make these crazy high-powered games. People just love their franchises and will pay big money for them regardless.
But plus, people love like the Platinum games for the over-the-top, batshit crazy, action that they put out in their games.
Yep.
Like I kind of like the new Bayozyne, which I saw people speculating online that who you play as might not actually be Bayonetta, but I guess someone else from the previous games.
Interesting.
Although I don't know a whole lot about the lore from the previous games, so I can't really speak too much on it.
Interesting. We saw some more gameplay for Splatoon. I'm excited for Splatoon. I like Splatoon. I think it's a really fun shooter.
I would say that one might actually be interested. I was kind of like laughing at the new sort of like multiplayer power-ups they showed. Like one was a mech, and then another one. This one made me laugh. Was like an Inkling that. It was basically an Inkling that got taken over by the Inkling version of a Venom symbiote, but also went Super Saiyan. I was like, what is this?
And then they showed there is a campaign mode. I think there was a campaign in Splatoon 2. I never played it, but I just think it's a really fun multiplayer shooter. I think it's a really unique game, and it's kind of Nintendo putting its own spin on that. And I really like Splatoon, so I'm looking forward to this one. A big one, which I really wasn't expecting, was Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak expansion.
That one, and the fact that it opened it up, but that one I am very excited for, especially considering, Monster Hunter Rise, I haven't really touched it in a while because they really haven't given me too much reason to touch it again.
Monster Hunter Rise is such an interesting scenario because I feel like a lot of people are pissed off that it's a Nintendo Switch exclusive just because Monster Hunter World was such a success on the other consoles, and then they're going to put out the next game in the series exclusively on Nintendo. I feel like that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and I really wasn't expecting there to be an expansion for this because I feel like it's kind of died. Like, I don't feel like as many people are playing Monster Hunter Rise.
Well, and it's that, and like, when you look at when you look at the content, free updates that Monster Hunter World got compared to what Monster Hunter Rise has got, Monster Hunter World blew that out of the water. Like pretty much, like you'd get a major update every like almost month or two. Adding new monsters and then quests where you can get new weapons and gear and stuff, like fun stuff. But this one, like I've seen the only quests I've seen get added in Rise is just quests to really unlock new jesters. That's it. And then any equipment that you can get from is nothing like really crazy or spectacular.
I don't even know, honestly. I haven't booted it up since like launch month.
Right. Did Sunbreak?
What's that now?
I'll be interested to see like they say it's a massive like expansion, so I'm gonna be curious to see like how much is gonna come with this Sunbreak DLC. Is it gonna be basically kind of on par with when Monster Iceborne came out?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I was kind of just expecting them to move on to the next game and put it out on the next console, like on PS5 and Xbox Series. Like, I figured that would be their move, but I guess not. I mean, I guess there is still the PC release of Monster Hunter Rise coming, I believe, next year?
Sometime next year. That's the one people are like gnawing at the bit to get their hands on.
So I don't know. I think it's a very odd thing. It's cool that they're getting it. Like, if you're still playing Monster Hunter Rise, this is a big thing for you.
You're right. Especially that dragon in the trailer. Fucking vampire dragon.
Looks very cool. Very cool. Super Smash Bros. Another DLC fighter getting announced on the 5th. I'm hoping it's Master Chief. I really hope.
I mean, you already know my hopes, and I'm gonna keep holding out hope until I see that reveal trailer.
When
I see the reveal
Sora
trailer,
is not coming to Smash. Let it go.
I won't until I see the trailer. Once I see the trailer, you'll see me admit defeat. But if Sakurai announces like another expansion pass, then I'm gonna be back on my bullshit. But they fucking teased me. I was like, that was the main reason I was looking forward to the direct. It's like, finally, we get the next Smash announcement. But it's like, no, we got an announcement for the announcement. I'm just like, you fucks.
Yeah. And then this one caught me off guard. Okay,
I think I know what it is.
Not the big one that everybody's laughing about. Okay, this one we're not there yet. Okay.
Not there yet.
Animal Crossing Direct.
This
is not something I was anticipating.
Same, but at the same time, I find it funny. An announcement for an announcement.
I'm very happy about this. Okay, I have put so many fucking hours into Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think I'm right around 150 hours in the game, and I got to a point where they quit putting out new content and just started recycling old stuff, and that's when I kind of set the game down. I would love to get back into Animal Crossing and have a reason to boot the game up because it's so relaxing and so much fun. I just wish it's another weird Nintendo thing where they don't communicate. Like, why instead of like giving us no content forever and everybody just kind of like assuming the game died and it like they were just leaving it, why didn't you just be like, hey, hold out, later this year we'll have big news on new DLC, new expansion, whatever this is going to be, because I'd imagine this is going to be a fairly large content update if they're going to give it its own direct. So why not let us know that and then kind of sprinkle in some new stuff here and there to give us a reason to keep playing the game and keep holding out hope. Like, I don't know why it was dead quiet for so long and then just out of nowhere we get this information.
Right, because imagine, for so long, there's not really anything new, no communication or anything. So imagine if you're someone who's basically done everything there is to do in the game, you don't really have any reason left to play it aside from like maybe just something to kill time. So like you trade in, give it to a friend, sell it, whatever, and just now you find out, oh, it's getting new content, and I was like, well, now you have to buy the game all over again.
Yeah, it's weird. Mario Party Superstars got another trailer. I think this is kind of shitty. Honestly, this is another game that pisses me off on a Nintendo. You already fucking gave us a Mario Party game, and you didn't give us online until this fucking year. The game came out when? Like 3-4 years ago, and you're just now giving us fucking online in that game. And then you're like, oh, but by the way, buy the new Mario Party instead because that one has online on day one. Like, what the fuck are we doing, Nintendo? What are we doing?
Nintendo makes weird choices, like very weird choices.
Yeah, it's just so fucking odd. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is coming to Switch on November 11th. That's pretty cool, especially after the announcement of the remaster coming to PS5. That's pretty exciting stuff. Castlevania Advanced Collection is coming.
Right.
Couple other, I think it's called Axe Tracer Renaissance, remastered version of SNES game. Project Triangle Strategy. This one looks pretty cool. I think it's by people that made Octopath Traveler. It looks really dope. I think I like the art style. I think it looks pretty cool.
The art style did seem familiar, so I think it is the same people.
We saw some more Metroid Dread stuff.
Very nice.
Yes, Yoko Taro's card RPG voice of Cards heads to Switch. I don't know. It's a long title. It looked interesting though.
And then I just remembered one. Fucking basically Final Fantasy Chocobo kart racing. That's a new one.
Oh yeah, the Final Fantasy kart racing is coming. This is a cool one. Okay, we knew Dying Light was coming over to Switch. That got announced a while ago. Dying Light Platinum Edition is coming to the Nintendo Switch. I think that's awesome because Dying Light is a kick-ass game. Okay, but then they went ahead and announced that Dying Light 2 Stay Human is coming for cloud. That's fucking awesome. I think that is a great move. I really like the fact that Nintendo's like, you know what? We like our hardware. We don't care about being the biggest, most powerful. If you want to play the next-gen games, you could fucking do that over here. Play it on the cloud. That's a sweet gig right there. I think that is awesome.
Yeah, Nintendo's more so about accessibility aside from, just overall insane graphical quality. So it's like, yeah, you might not be able to play this game at, the best resolution or whatever, but it's like you can at least play it wherever you want.
Yeah, and from what I've seen of other people playing the cloud stuff, like, Control and Hitman, it seems to work pretty well if you have a decent internet connection. Like, so, and it's not hard, especially with the OLED switch, getting the LAN thing in the dock. It's not going to be too hard to wire your Switch in anymore. So I think it's a really smart move. Mario Golf gets new characters and courses. Chocobo, like you said, the Final Fantasy Kart Racer is coming. Disco Elysium, the final cut, comes out on Switch here soon. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity's newest expansion gets more stuff. Disney Magical World. Shadowrun Trilogy. Rune Factory 5. And yeah, but then the big one, okay? There was a bunch of other stuff. Then the fucking big one, okay? Where is it? There it is. Good Christ. We're getting a Mario movie. And I think this was going to happen eventually. I think everybody's pretty much on that page. We were eventually going to get a Mario movie. And I don't think anyone's mad at that. I'm pretty excited about it.
It'd be interesting.
It's made by the people that made Despicable Me. So that's a good movie. I have hope.
Despicable Me and Minion movie. Yep.
I have hope. But then they went and announced the cast. What the hell? Now, I know a lot of people, it's a huge meme online. I know a lot of people are kind of upset. I'm not upset. I'm more just confused.
I'm not upset either. I'm just finding it fucking hilarious.
I'm not upset by it. Honestly, it kind of gets me more excited for this movie. But it's just so weird. So, Chris Pratt is Mario.
That one immediately.
Star-Lord is Mario.
It's me, a Star-Lord.
I don't know what's happening. We're getting Mushroom Kingdom of the Galaxy, okay?
Guardians of the Mushroom Kingdom.
It's weird. Anya Taylor-Joy will be Princess Peach. Charlie Day is going to be Luigi, which is so weird. Jack Black is Bowser, and I love Jack Black, so that is fucking phenomenal.
I want to see what a Bowser with a Jack Black voice is gonna be like. I want it so bad now.
Keegan-Michael Key is gonna be Toad.
That one has me most excited.
It's so weird. Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. And then Charles Martinet, the actual voice of Mario in the games, is going to be in the movie in some capacity. They just haven't said a specific character, so it's just weird. It's so weird.
I feel this is just my guess, but I feel like the way they're gonna do the movie is gonna be they're gonna do it like a sort of like where they dive into the game. You see the arcade cabinet or whatever, and then it actually goes into the game, or you see the home console and you see what's going on in the game, and then the person playing it is the actual guy from Voice of Mario, or maybe he's the parent of the kid playing it, something like that.
I could definitely see that being the scenario. It's just weird. It's so weird.
It's so weird. I almost feel like it's a smart move because now a lot of people are gonna see it just for the shock factor, just to see what all these infamous characters that we've known for so many years are gonna sound like.
Yeah, it's definitely got my hype level way higher than it should be for a fucking Mario movie, but
Right.
it's something. But that wraps up the direct. It was an acid trip of a direct. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's definitely worth the watch. But let's talk about the main topic of this episode, right? We talked last week about Deathloop and how we thought Deathloop was... I said it was my game of the year. We said it was a big game of the year contender. So we wanted to take a second this week to kind of talk about what games came out, what's coming out, and what we think will be game of the year. We're going to make some predictions.
Now, to sort of narrow it down, I think we should at least eliminate any games that were technically like re-releases, remasters, or like came out on new platforms that they didn't release on initially. Because I feel like those shouldn't really contend for Game of the Years. Basically, kind of like a Ghost of Tsushima director's cut and Death Stranding director's cuts. Because those are mainly just next-gen upgrades with some additional content. But I don't feel like enough to really put it up for a Game of the Year contendership.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I basically have a list here of basically every game that has come out or will come out this year, and I'm talking about every game from on all platforms, from PC, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS5, Switch, even mobile.
Okay.
There's quite a bit. So I'm looking at the month of January. Not really a whole lot. Biggest one was Hitman 3, which that one a lot of people like the newer Hitman games, so I feel like that might be a sleeper in terms of not so much in Game of Year contendership, but it could definitely get some awards when get down to it. Let's see. Basically, games didn't really pick up till March. March was when things picked up a little bit.
Yeah, this year had a really slow start.
Yeah, it had a really slow start. Like March was when it picked up because Apex Legends came to Switch. Even though we're not counting it, I'm just mentioning it at least. Apex Legends came to Switch. Crash Bandicoot 4 got its next-gen upgrades, and also came to Switch and PC. And where is it? Monster Hunter Rise. That was the month Monster Hunter Rise came out. Which that one, I don't know how to put. I don't think it's Game of the Year, but it might be considered for it, depending on, like, as we go through this list, what else could possibly be up for Game of the Year contendership.
Yeah.
So that's a possible one. Disco Elysium Final Cut. It also came out in March. That one, I feel like it'd be indie. Could be indie Game of the Year.
But Disco Elysium was in the running last year, and this is like just the upgraded version.
Okay.
I feel like that one has to get removed from the list.
Yeah, okay, that I didn't know. So yeah, that's fair. That one removed from the list. I would say the Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC, but that was just for PC. Moving on. Let's see. Then we get into April. Now let's see here for April. First big release from April was Outriders, which that was a game that was talked about quite a bit, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, big yawn. Outriders was one that I was keen on hopping into. I played it on Game Pass. I could not get into it. And I know that's not how a lot of people were. A lot of people really liked Outriders. And I think it had kind of the sweet spot mentality where, like, we already talked about this year being so slow for games that this just kind of came out and was new and interesting enough that it hooked so many people because simply they didn't have anything to play.
Right. As I was saying, it was almost supposed to be like an alternative for people who didn't want to play like Destiny, but at the same time, it wasn't as good as Destiny.
And from what I gather, the support just hasn't been there for it since launch. And it's one that I even forgot came out until you just mentioned it. And I feel like that's how a lot of people are going to be.
Same. So, and then out of April, 2 games that honestly, in my opinion, well, one is more so like personal opinion. First one, Nier Replicant. I don't know how familiar you are with like the Nier games. They're pretty popular and pretty good.
They're pretty popular, yeah.
And in terms of like story, very mindfuckery, and apparently this one really really gets you in the feels. Apparently, I have it. I still need to play through it, but from what I've seen, it's actually like a great. It's technically a remake, but it's like a from the ground up remake. So that's the only reason why I'm considering it
Mm-hmm.
for possible game year to contendership. But then now this one is probably the first like actual legit game of the year contender so far.
Okay.
Returnal.
Oh,
I
yeah.
definitely I definitely think Returnal has a very like good chance at game of the year.
I definitely think it's in the running.
Yeah, because looks fantastic. It's one of like few games on PS5 that really utilizes the dual sense and adaptive triggers. And it actually I didn't really think of it before until someone pointed out it utilizes the same concept as Deathloop of Live Die Repeat, because it is a roguelike, a AAA roguelike. But very good, and the lore, honestly, if you love like some like trippy sci-fi, almost horror-esque lore, this is definitely a game you'll love. I will say though, it's a very punishing game. It is not one for the faint of heart. It's not forgiving, really, because it's not like Hades where you could be in the middle of a run and then close the game, hop back in, and be right where you left off. No, if you close the game while you're in the middle of a run, that run's basically over and you have to start all over again.
Yeah,
So
it's not my style game. I'm not big on
Right.
roguelike, so I haven't picked it up for my PS5. However, I've seen nothing but love and affection for this game on social media, so I could
Yeah.
definitely see this being in the conversation for Game of the Year. I don't know if
Yeah.
it'll win, but I definitely think it's there.
Yeah, plus like I really like the boss fights and unique enemies. It's almost like a complete 3D bullet hell type of thing when you go up against these bosses. Like because these guys at House Marquee, they're just good at the video games. And then we enter into May, and we also have pretty early in May another possible game of the year contender, Resident Evil Village.
I
feel
loved it. Loved it.
I did too.
Such a good game.
I liked it a lot. I liked the characters and the run gun aspect. It wasn't like big on the horror aspect. It was more actiony than I was expecting, but I still loved it a lot.
Yeah, I played the hell out of it. I had a great time with it. I loved the characters. I loved the aesthetics. It was just a great game. Loved it.
Right. And I really think it's a game. It does a good job at sort of like catching up that you could even go into this without playing Resident Evil 7, although you should go in and play Resident Evil 7, especially if you have a PS5, part of PlayStation Plus collection.
I can vouch for that because I am not a Resident Evil fan. I've not played any Resident Evils until Resident Evil Village, and I was able to hop in and understand the story and have a great time with it without playing any of the others. And I am looking to go back, probably during spooky season here, go back and play Resident Evil 7 because it is on Game Pass. So I'll probably hop in and do that here soon.
Yeah, as I say, it's on Game Pass. It's part of the PlayStation Plus collection. So really, at least you basically anyone can play that game for free, and I definitely recommend it because compared to Village, it's definitely way more horror aesthetic. This one will definitely give you the creeps.
Yeah.
And
now
let's see.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a
Yes.
question. I think we overlooked it in April. Where did new Pokemon Snap drop? Wasn't that 4/27?
Nope, you're right. I did miss it. It was actually right beneath Returnal. That came out April 30th. Actually, same day as Returnal. Shit.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, I remember it came out. I played the hell out of it. And it's a great game, honestly. If you have a Switch and you like Pokemon, it's a very relaxing game. It's a great time. I loved it. Now, I will say, I don't think it's a Game of the Year contender. However, I could definitely see new Pokemon Snap being considered for something like Family Game of the Year, because usually that's where Nintendo shines.
Right.
So I could definitely see that being brought up at the Game Awards in terms of that. But I wanted to mention it because it is on the list of games that I played and finished this year, and I fucking loved Pokemon Snap. It was awesome. I tell you what, it's been one thing after another with this freaking episode.
Pretty much.
You lost video, my Wi-Fi went out, good lord. But where were we at? Pokemon Snap and Resident Evil.
Yeah, just got done with that, and I was seeing what else came out in May.
Okay.
And I found possibly, well, not so much Game of the Year contenders, but I feel like they were both like relevant enough to mention them. Knockout City, which came out in May.
That game was a good time.
it was a good time. I haven't heard much about it since, but it definitely was fun. A definitely nice sort of new, unique multiplayer game. And then after that, a game I don't know if you knew too much about, but I picked it up and played a little bit of it. Biomutant. That was a game that was talked about for quite a while. People waiting for its release, getting kind of excited about it. Then it came out, and in my opinion, it was just kind of meh.
Yeah, that's what I heard. The general consensus was that it was just like it was an average game.
Yeah, pretty average game. I did like the idea of basically building your own character from the ground up, like developing your own style for combat or how your character works. But it just didn't really grab me a whole lot. And then we get into June. In June, let's see if I can remember right. It's somewhere in here. I'm going to find you. I know you're here.
Ratchet and Clank is the big one.
Yep, that's the one I was looking for.
Ratchet and Clank's the big one. And that one is definitely on the list. That one is right up there at the tippy top.
That is a definite game of the year contender. Basically, the way I'd put it is, if Returnal's the game that, really utilized the DualSense and the new controller for PS5, Ratchet and Clank's the one that really pushed that fucking SSD. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just the seamless transitions and everything with all the portals and all that. Oh, chef's kiss. And it's such a good looking game. It's such a good looking game. Not the craziest story, but then again, I don't think, really any of the Ratchet and Clank games have, super memorable or insane stories to write home about. But that's not why people play the games. They dive in for the fun and quirky gadgets and guns and all that good stuff.
100%. And I had a great time with it. Great platinum, too.
As did I. Very fun game. I will briefly mention, FF7 Integrate also came out that month. Very nice expansion. Not like too long, doesn't overstay its welcome. Very nice. Makes you excited for what's going to come next in that franchise. Guilty Gear Strive also came out that month. A very popular fighting game franchise, and people were looking to this next gen release. It's made by the same people who made Dragon Ball Fighter, so that was another reason people were really looking forward to it. And people just love their fighting games. It's a popular genre. And then here's when I can get on my bullshit. Scarlet Nexus also came out that month. Shut the fuck up. That's a game, honestly, I feel like could at least be up for a game of the year contendership. I definitely don't see it it definitely won't, compared to what would go up against, it definitely wouldn't win. But I could definitely see it getting a nice honorable mention or contendership. It's combat's fun. There's not a single character in that game I dislike. I adore each and all those characters.
Mm-hmm.
Even if some of the story execution is kind of mad, but the story, it did hook me. It did make me want to play more and get to the end and see where things went. And I still want to kind of dive. And the best part is I can still dive in for a second playthrough and get a completely new perspective on it. So that one I can definitely see getting, a contendership for game of the year. And then after that, we also had Mario Golf Super Rush.
Fun. It was fun. It's not one that really kept me entertained for long. It's one that I bust out at parties and stuff.
Right.
But it's a good game. I enjoyed it. I don't think the campaign was worth the time.
And, as we mentioned, he's going to get finally getting those new content updates, new characters and maps and stuff.
Yep.
But now we get into July and things pick up a little bit again. Here's one for you. We had Boomerang X come out that month.
That was good. I enjoyed that one quite a bit.
I would say, based on what you said, I could definitely see that getting a nice indie mention in that category.
Yeah, I could see it being an indie mention.
And then we also have Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin. That game, not a game of the year contender, but it's my first dive into that franchise, so I don't really have any, I didn't really have any standards going into it.
Yeah.
I haven't really touched it in a while, but it's definitely something I want to dive back into just because I love how different it is. I'm getting the same feel as I do with the usual Monster Hunters. I want to get in and grind out more because I have yet to get to the parts where I get to the cool monsters, the interesting monsters, the monsters I really like. So far, I'm still stuck on the boring stuff, which I feel that's sort of the main problem with it. It feels like it takes a while to actually get going.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. That Chris Tales Chris Tales and Death's Door, that also came out in
Death's
July.
Door is phenomenal. That's definitely, if there's an indie game of the year this year, it's Death's Door.
I could definitely see that just from like some of the gameplay I've seen. You know, it's definitely a game that sort of like curves my interest into getting an Xbox so I could play it myself. Chris Tales, that's a game I still need to pick up. But from what I hear, just from what I've seen, like it's a very nice style game and gameplay looks pretty interesting. So I still need to dive into that just to see like what the hype's about. And then let's see some other games that came out this year. That's also Pokemon Unite dropped in July.
That is on my list. Okay, let me tell you, that game is definitely
interesting
on my list for game of the year.
Very interesting.
Just because I love it. I love it.
I honestly, I might be with. I don't think it'll win. I'll say that now.
It could get multiplayer.
It is a very good multiplayer. I could see it definitely. It could definitely, have a strong case against some of the other multiplayer stuff that has come out or is going to come out this year, and that's stiff competition. But I can see it at least being considered like among them.
Being that it's Pokemon, and being that it was able to combine such two different things with the MOBA genre, and then getting Pokemon fans into that, and being so accessible and way better than anybody expected it to actually be, I definitely think it's going to be in the conversation.
Right, honestly, I've never dove into MOBAs before, but that one is definitely a joy to play. Just give me more simple MOBAs that are easy to stay on based on like popular IPs that I'm interested in, and I will dive right into them. Let's see, and then some other games that came out, but I didn't really dive into and know too much on, like the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles that came out, and then that World Ends With You sequel. That I know that was a game that a lot of people were looking forward to. That series getting a sequel. I don't know a whole lot about though, and I didn't really see it talked about too much after it came out, so that might be a dead in the water game. Another game that came out, a game that we both dove into a bit, Tribes of Midgard.
That was fun.
That was fun. Another game I feel like kind of died out a little bit. I haven't seen too much on it in terms of like content updates or anything like that.
I think that one would have had a better reception had it been a PS Plus game.
Yeah, that's definitely a game that should have been a PlayStation Plus game. Even though it released towards the end of July, you could have at least put it off a bit, released it in August, unless there's a PlayStation Plus game in August. I'm forgetting that it would have replaced. Let's see, and does that wrap up July? Pretty much. Actually, no, this one you can at least tell me about. Did you play The Ascent?
Yes. The Ascent was good. I don't think it's a game of the year contender, but it's a very fun game. It's a very pretty game. That's one of the biggest things. The story, very uncompelling, kind of blows. It's a cyberpunk style game. It's a really cool world. The story is just so uninteresting. They did a very bad job at getting you immersed in the world. They kind of throw you in, and they're throwing all these terms and shit at you, but they never actually unless you go in yourself and select the dialogue options, it never explains what these things are. So they're just spitting nonsense at you, and unless you're really motivated, you're never gonna know what that shit is. So for me, I was like, I don't care. If you wanted me to know what this shit was, you should have told me. I like going in, and the gunplay is really fun. It's a twin stick shooter. It's a really, really cool game. It has cover and stuff that you could hide behind, which is kind of unique for a twin stick. And it was really cool. It was a really good time. And like I said, it was freaking gorgeous on the Xbox. So I really like it, but I don't think it's going to be a game of the year contender.
Fair enough. And now we're getting into the month of August, getting close to current day and time with stuff that's come out. First game that came out was actually a PlayStation Plus game. Did a video on it, Hunter's Arena Legends. Definitely not a game of the year contender, but I will give it an honorable mention just for being a new unique multiplayer battle royale experience.
Yeah,
at least it was something different in the very big world of battle royales that are just third or first person shooters. Nothing too crazy, but no, it fits into that nice category. I would put it in with Spellbreak, because that's another more unique battle royale style game.
Yeah,
and definitely one I recommend checking out if you're into if you want like a fantasy, almost World of Warcraft style battle royale game, because that's what some of the characters remind me of and the whole art style. Let's see, what else do we got here? Um, so a game that might get like an indie mention, and now this is a game that as soon as I told him about it, Nag immediately rushed to like his Switch and PlayStation to buy it and download it. Axiom Verge 2. I don't know if you like know much about that
That's a
game or
negative
not.
for me.
It's when the first one came out, it's basically an indie Metroidvania game. I don't know a whole lot in terms about the setting or anything. I think it's like you're some sort of scientist that gets stranded on this alien planet, and you're basically trying to figure out how to get off it and go through like this whole mystery and like uncover these alien conspiracies, I think. But from what I've seen of Knack playing, definitely looks like a good like Metroidvania game. Could definitely get a like an indie game mention. Speaking of indie game mention, I will mention this during that month, Hades also dropped on like major consoles, so that was like a big plus. And it bit you again because it came on Game Pass.
Yep, I did hop in and play some Hades. It was a good time. I didn't go back through and beat it, but I did hop in and play it on Xbox.
A game you did beat, though, and another game you played on Xbox, 12 Minutes, that you told me about.
Good time. That was a good one. That one is also one I could see being in the running for indie game. Incredible like acting cast. It was just a really interesting little experience, and there's so many time loop games this year, and I don't know what the fuck's up with that, but it's really weird, but like this one was definitely up there. Highly recommended if you got Game Pass. It's a good time.
I don't mind the time loop things, just please don't make it a habit with games going forward. I liked it sprinkled in there. I don't need it to be the entire fucking cake.
Yeah.
And let's see, then like I mentioned, we had Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Not Game of the Year contendership, but it's definitely still a good upgrade and DLC. Ghost of Tsushima, it's already a pretty game, and the upgrade, it just makes it even prettier. I probably spent more time in the photo mode than I did actually playing the actual game. What else we got here? Here you go. Psychonauts 2. There you go, buddy.
I'm still working on that one, chipping away at it. I don't know if it will be... It's such a quirky and unique game that I feel like it might not hook as many people because it's so different in what it does. It's such a good game, but it's so odd in the way that it's portrayed that I feel like it might turn some people away. Unlike something like Ratchet and Clank that is like very cutesy and colorful and like very easy to grasp, like Ratchet and Clank are the good guys, Nefarious is the bad guys. This one is just, it's so weird and it's an acid trip of a game that like I feel like it could definitely turn a lot of people away, and I don't know if it'll hold a candle to Ratchet and Clank just from the sheer amount of people that'll play it.
That's fair, but like you say that, but I remember on Twitter, like this was actually trending when review embargoes started getting lifted and people were putting out their reviews and stuff. A lot of people were calling it their game of the year regardless of that. So it could honestly have like a decent chance, even against the likes of Ratchet and Clank.
I hope so. It's a really good game, really fun collectathon. Like it's a great game. I highly recommend playing it. I'll be curious to see where it's at. I would love to see it in the running for Game of the Year.
Right. And now we have September. The month we're in the middle in right now. I say in the middle of it, but month's about to end. We're about to enter October. And starting off for September, basically the only first big game I see here is Fist Forge and Shadow Charge. Now that's definitely a game I can see like getting a good chance at maybe indie game of the year. It's like it's another Metroidvania game. It kind of reminds me of some older like PS2 style games. Kind of reminds me of some of the Mega Man S games. It's fun. It's fun. I do like the combat in it. The characters don't really grasp me. The story does seem to be interesting, though. Just this. They're called Furtisan, but basically they're furry people. Just humanoid furries.
Mm-hmm.
And in a city taken over by androids and basically robot mechs, stuff like that. And you rise up with your fist. Your bunny rabbit. You rise up with your giant fist. punch the patriarchy. Yeah, get fisted.
Oh shit.
Oh fuck. Okay, what else is there?
Kina.
I don't know if Oh yeah, well, we'll probably get there eventually, but I stopped at like these two games. I don't know a lot about them. At least one of these games kind of interests me, although I've been hesitant to dive into it because I know it's going to be a game that's going to take like a ton of hours to beat. But the first one is Life is Strange: True Colors. Life is Strange. What is it, like the second or third game?
I believe it's I think it's the fourth. I think there's Life is Strange 1, Life is Strange 2. There's a spin-off Life is Strange, and now this one.
Okay, so we'll just say the fourth.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. I've heard a couple of reviews, and I've heard it's a phenomenal game.
Same, and like from some, I remember like seeing like the reveals and stuff. It looks like a very pretty game. I definitely like the look of it too. I never played any Life is Strange games, but this could, I could see this getting at least like a nomination at least just for like how it looks, and I guess like from what other people say, I'm guessing the story is also pretty good. Because I at least know from the last one, because I remember watching playthroughs on it, at least that one was a pretty good story. So I expect this one to be no less.
Yeah.
And then another game, another Bandai Namco game, another anime game, Tales of Arise. That was another big, like, I wouldn't say big game, but
I've seen a lot on Twitter about.
Same. I've seen a lot of it to the point where like I might actually be interested in getting it at some point. Combat looks fun, and even though I know nothing about the Tales series, I wouldn't mind diving into this.
I've seen a lot of people really like this one on Twitter, so I think that one is, I don't know if it'll be a game of the year, but it's nice to see so many people enjoying it. I think this has just been, as a whole, a very odd year for games, because there hasn't been those big, smack you in the face, this is game of the year stuff like, God of War, Spider-Man, Red Dead, shit like that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a very like, we've had a couple of big releases here and there, but it's been mostly like a lot of like smaller stuff or indie stuff really that have just been really impressive. And then I don't know if we want to talk about it or not, but then we also have Deathloop.
Game of the year.
Yeah, I was gonna say Deathloop. Yeah, honestly, I feel like Deathloop might be game of the year this year. I really like Returnal. Ratchet and Clank is still like a fantastic game, but I really think Deathloop is going to be the game of the year.
Deathloop does so much new and unique and interesting, and it's its own thing entirely, and it's nothing like what we've seen before. That I just think it's unique enough that it'll stand out and be game of the year.
Right. The gunplay is satisfying. The powers are fun. The, no pun intended, the gameplay loop is, never-ending satisfaction. The whole unique concept about players invading. Well, I guess not so much unique, but a different take on it. Players invading you and, being the one wild card factor in the game. We won't get into it too much. If you want to know more about it, turn into last week's podcast.
Yeah, go back to last week's podcast. We reviewed the whole thing.
Yeah, because, good Lord, if we get into it again, this is going to be a super long podcast again. Let's see. But then, yeah, Kena Breach of Spirits. That one, I still have, I don't want to say too much, considering I'm still in the middle of playing through it. So I won't say it's game of the year contendership until at least I beat it. But from what I've seen of other people, it's definitely possible it could get like at least a nomination for it. Mm-hmm. But it definitely won't win. I'll say that much. Let's see. And then Diablo 2 Resurrected came out, the remaster or remake for Diablo 2. Death Stranding Director's Cut came out. Won't really mention it too much because, like I said, it's just the upgrade for a previously released game with some additional content. Not enough for really contendership. Now, that Lost Judgment game did come out, which is a sequel to a spinoff in basically the Yakuza game universe. Yeah. I don't know if that'll get a game. It might actually, because the Yakuza games in general are very beloved, and if Judgment was, played enough, well received enough to get a sequel, then who knows? It could be. Although I don't know too much about it to really say a whole lot more on it. Let's see, what our shit we got here. Oh, we got Hot Wheels Unleashed coming out later this year. Game of the year right there. Never mind, I changed my mind.
Hot Wheels Unleashed is getting fantastic reviews. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's getting like 9s.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's getting really good reviews. So is that the list? Is that it for the year thus far?
For the year thus far, now we're getting into future releases. We're getting to October and beyond.
Let's do this. I've got 2 questions here, and then we can close this fucker out. All right.
All right.
I'll let you start here. What, as of right now, after everything we just talked about, what is your list for game of the year? Like, give me your top 4 games game of the year.
Ooh, top 4. Okay, so definitely Deathloop. Returnal.
Are these in order?
Not in order, not in any order.
Okay.
So I'm just naming off games. Deathloop, Returnal, Ratchet and Clank. I'm not trying to show favoritism. They just all happen to be PlayStation exclusive games. Get off my dick. And then honestly, the 4th spot is the hardest because obviously the first 3 are easy, but then the 4th spot's the hardest for me. It could honestly be Resident Evil Village or God. I want to say either Resident Evil Village or, depending on how Kena plays out, that could be another one. So I'll say for now it'll be Deathloop, Returnal, Ratchet and Clank, and Resident Evil Village. I would say those are my 4 at the moment.
Okay. So
with Resident Evil Village, possibly being switched out.
Okay, so here's my... Okay, I've got a list. I keep it on my computer. Every time I finish a game, I add it to the list. Or if it's a multiplayer game that I like, I rank it. And they're all in order on this list, so I have them all ranked accordingly. If it's multiplayer, obviously you can't beat it, so I just rank it wherever I feel it's necessary. So,
right.
The list as it sits, I have 10 games from this year that came out that I have beaten. And then I've got a couple that are from previous years, so we won't talk about them. I have not finished Psychonauts 2, so it's not on this list yet. Mm-hmm. I've got Deathloop, Resident Evil Village, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, Pokemon Unite, Monster Hunter Rise, New Pokemon Snap, Mario Golf, Boomerang X, Miitopia on Switch, which is a remaster, so we can wipe that one from the list. And then the final game that I played was the Space Jam game. And yeah, no kidding. So my list, as it sits right now, Deathloop is number 1. This is in order. Deathloop is number 1. Resident Evil is number 2. Ratchet and Clank, number 3. Pokemon Unite, number 4.
I was gonna say, I like how like our 4 games are basically like the interchangeable ones. Well, then again, like Returnal I've played and you haven't. Maybe one day.
I doubt it. I wouldn't hold your breath.
if it's like extremely discounted, maybe.
Maybe if it's a PS Plus game someday.
Damn you.
So we have a lot of similarities. Deathloop, Resident Evil, and Ratchet & Clank are up there. Yeah. So I think for certain those are going to be on the roster when we go to vote for Game Awards.
Oh, for sure.
Now, looking at the remainder of the year,
right?
Do you think any other game this year, and I think Psychonauts is on the list. Obviously, I haven't finished it, so I can't rank it yet. But what other games this year do you think are in the running? We don't have a ton. There's not a ton of games,
right?
But what do you think has a shot of being up there?
Well, let's see. I'm taking a pixie now. We're starting in October, and I'm going to mainly focus on big games. There are some smaller indie stuff that I know can be considered big releases, but I don't think big enough for Game of the Year contendership. Mm-hmm. The Far Shore that comes out actually next week, but I don't really think that's going to get a Game of the Year contendership. But it is going to probably be a very nice indie game.
Yeah.
Now, first game on the list, I definitely think has a shot, when it comes out, Far Cry 6.
I think Far Cry 6 is definitely going to be up there, simply because of Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, that, and, just from the game features, the wacky animal companions, the crazy guns you can get. I want to get my hands on that fucking record player launcher that just plays the Macarena.
I think that one has a fairly good shot, especially with how weak this year has been as a whole. Far Cry definitely has a good shot of shooting up there on the list.
It definitely has a good shot. And then another one that I honestly think might have a decent shot is Metroid Dread.
I would agree with that. I think Metroid Dread has a pretty good shot at also shooting up on that list. It's a big Nintendo property. Everybody loves Metroid. They've been waiting forever for Metroid Prime 4. They're getting this. Everybody seems to be pretty happy with what they've seen. I think that's a pretty good shot.
Yeah, for sure. And next one after that, Back 4 Blood. I honestly feel like that one, I don't know. They have the beta not that long ago, and it wasn't too well received.
I don't think it'll be game of the year. I think it might be in the running for like multiplayer game.
Yeah, maybe.
It depends on how long people play it after launch.
Right, yeah. I was gonna say it definitely depends on like player count and stuff. And then I don't really see this game a game of the year contendership, but probably in some other category. I just don't know what. That Demon Slayer game coming out that I'm definitely looking forward to because it's being made by CC2 and it's being made in the same style as the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Store game. So yeah, I'm just mentioning that because I'm very hyped for it.
It's a fighting game, right?
Yeah, basically exactly like the
it'll be
old.
It'll be a fighting game contender.
Yeah, it is definitely.
Yeah, because there's so little that comes out in the fighting game category that just they have to like throw stuff in there.
Pretty much. And so another game that I definitely could see possibly being considered for game of the year, Guardians of the Galaxy.
That one will be interesting because it's got such like a meh response right now from everybody, just because how odd it looks and what we've seen. That I don't. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. It looks fun. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if it'll be a game of the year contender.
It's hard to say because
from what I've heard from everybody that's done play testing, this is looking like a solid 7 out of 10. So a middle of the road, slightly above average game.
I was gonna say it's being developed by Square Enix, and so far Square Enix they don't have the best hot streak in terms of Marvel IPs, so we'll have to see. Square Enix they have their hits, but they also have their misses. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so that's about it for October. So now it's November, December. We'll at least mention them, but I forget exactly what the cutoff date is to be considered for Game of the Year.
I think it's November. I think you have to be in November.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I don't think Halo's going to make the cut.
Yeah, it might not. Call of Duty Vanguard will, though.
And I don't think that'll even be remotely mentioned.
Yeah,
I think at most it'll be multiplayer, maybe. Probably Warzone. Warzone will be multiplayer, but I don't think Vanguard will.
Vanguard is definitely. I'm pretty sure like almost every new Call of Duty got at least nominated for multiplayer. I don't know if it always won, but I know it at least got nominated because they got to fill that category. Let's see.
Battlefield.
Yep, Battlefield. That's another one. That one. I don't
know. I don't know. Honestly, I think
it's hard to.
It's hard to say because it's going to be a multiplayer game. There's no campaign to really pull people. It'll be an interesting one.
I mean, to be fair, Overwatch didn't have a campaign, but
that's true.
Look, yeah. So I feel like that's somewhat.
The thing with Overwatch though is it's so colorful and quirky, and they have unique characters that it brings people in that sense. Where Battlefield, everybody knows what Battlefield is, right?
That and the fact Blizzard does do a good job in still building the lore even without a campaign.
Yes.
Through their sports and stuff. Let's see. And then we do have. I don't think it'll be Game of the Year contendership, but still should mention it. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
I'm looking forward to them. Definitely not a Game of the Year contender.
Yeah, definitely not. But still really looking forward to
maybe it. Family Game of the Year.
Yeah, I could see that happening, along with stuff like Game & Watch Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, it's just yeah. So for me, I think the big ones that we'll see, because I think the cutoff is November. I think it's like mid-November's cutoff.
I was gonna say.
So Halo's not even there.
Yeah, I was gonna say Halo comes out December 8th, so I don't think it will really get considered. Probably for I would say it might be at like next year's Game of the Year's awards.
Probably for multiplayer. I can't see it being. Well, the campaign does come out later, right? They're releasing multiplayer first, then campaign.
Yes.
So it's a possibility that Halo Infinite could be in the running next year.
Yeah, so it has a shot at least. But that wraps up, all the major stuff coming out.
So for me,
it has come out and will come out in 2021.
The only thing I could see pushing the list is Far Cry 6. I think that could be up there.
Mm-hmm.
And Metroid. I think that's really the only two that could really push the envelope and be up there.
Yeah, those definitely seem like the only two big ones that could really like muscle their way into Game of the Year contendership. Because I do at least like see some notable like indie games on here, but nothing that I think will really, edge their way into that list.
Yeah. But I think that pretty much wraps it up. I think that's it. I'm curious. We'll have to do a podcast when they put out the voting where we just sit and we argue about which one we vote, and we'll vote together. Because they always put the list out where you can get in there and vote. I think that's what we got to do when that rolls around in like October, November. I think that's the move.
Definitely.
But
definitely.
That concludes this episode of the End of the Chat Gaming Podcast. Thank you for entering the chat with us. If you want to keep up with us, be sure to follow us on Twitter. Check out the YouTube channel where the video format goes up. We're on podcast services. If you want to keep up with Rico, he says follow the channel. If you want to keep up with me, you can catch me streaming at Kneeckoh Gaming on Twitch. Check me out on YouTube at Kneeckoh Gaming, TikTok. All my social medias are all Kneeckoh Gaming, so check all that fun stuff out where I'm playing a lot of Dead by Daylight right now. Probably going to play some Pokemon Unite now that they've got shit fixed. So check me out over there if that is your jam. But like I said, that is it, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.
Peace.